Well, it's about that time, y'all. It's time for another episode of the Check Swing Podcast with myself. Y'all know who I am, and with my man Bo 10, also known as Miguel. But we're going to try to figure out who Bo 10 is this week. And we have a very special guest. And it seems like every time we have a guest on the show, it's like somebody that is like I've known for a while. And this week is no different. We have the head coach of the Penwood women's basketball team, the Lady Patriots, Miss Coach Monique Boykins. Welcome to the Check Swing Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, Coach Mo Boykins is, like I said, the head coach of the Lady Patriots, Penwood High School's women's basketball team. She runs a AAU organization, and a lot more. There's a lot we're going to be talking about here. Okay, there's a lot that she got going on. But like I said, welcome to the Check Swing Podcast, and thanks for being with us. I hope you told all your friends and your enemies to check us out today.
Yes, I definitely tell people to tune in.
So let's start off by asking you this. You're a coach. You've been coaching for how long have you been coaching now?
15 years now.
15 years under your belt. You've coached in various high schools, AAU. You've volunteered. You've been hired to do it. What do you love? What is the biggest thing that you love about coaching? Because I know you love it because I've watched you. I've called your games. What do you love about
coaching? I love the fact that it's forever changing, but the fact is the connection that you make with the players and them aha moments where they get it and they understand what basketball is all about.
That's definitely a beautiful thing. It's definitely a beautiful aha moments, man. Yeah, they sometimes they can come few and far between, but when they come, man, wow, they're awesome. Now 15 years in the coaching game. Did you start as a coach at Penwood, or how did your coaching career start?
So my coaching career started. It started, I want to say, 2009. I actually was overseas playing basketball for a Global Sports Academy. It was a tour that we went on to Belgium, Holland, and France. And I had the opportunity to train and see how European basketball is different to American basketball. Once I got finished working out and playing against players from all different other areas and also different countries, I was able to. I kind of felt like I had to come back and show our players how they train in Europe, because I felt like a lot of it was really, really fundamentally based. And I think that is a lot what we miss now as fundamentals. So I wanted to do my due diligence and pass on what I've learned and teach fundamentals to the players that would like to learn.
What type of things did you learn overseas that maybe that at the time that we didn't teach here? What type of things were you able to add to your game?
So one thing is that the Europeans, they're good shooters, but they spend a lot of time on shooting mechanics and the technique itself. When we say 1,000 shots a day, 500 to 1,000 shots a day, in different paces, different distances, different angles, and things of that nature, they do that. When we talk about the 3-on-3 game, there's not a lot of 5-on-5. It's a lot of 3-on-3, because in the 3-on-3, you can teach so much. That's where you teach court spacing. That's where we teach on-ball and off-ball screens, how to defend them, how to use them. This is part of the 3-on-3 game that you cannot really, really dissect and teach as much in the 5-on-5 concept. So also, that the Europeans, they were the ones that brought up the 24-second shot clock. So at the end of the day, I think I learned a lot with regard to fundamentals, passing, shooting, dribbling, the amount of time you spend on it, different drills that you add to it. Every practice, even that I have now, I make sure that I incorporate fundamentals. No matter what, we must have passing in our practices. We must have dribbling in our practices. We must have shooting in our practices, So these are things that we definitely implement once we get into in-season practice.
Absolutely, Miguel. You have a because I got a host of questions for him.
Yeah. Well, because over the first couple of episodes, we've talked about our experience as coaches, handling different types of players, things like that. But it was interesting bringing up, you playing overseas. What's the difference in the attitude of the players overseas versus here in America that you have witnessed?
It's more team oriented. You're getting those. You know how we emphasize on making an extra pass?
Mhm.
Oh, they make the extra pass. They got the ball movement down packed, and I just feel like that was something that really, really also, that's the art of the game. When you have them extra passes and you see players utilizing it to draw the shot that they need to, or get the person open that they need to. I just think that it's amazing. And so that's something that I really learned over there as well.
Now, Coach Mo, I consider you, because I watch from a distance, and like we know that we've known each other a long time. But I watch you as a fellow coach. I watch you. I watch a lot of coaches, but I watch you in particular because, like I said, I've known you, and you are. I consider you a student of the game. Even as 15 years in this, because we're always learning our craft. Are there things that you have learned recently since, I guess, within the 5-7 years or so, that you've added into your coaching repertoire, or that you've been able to pass along, that maybe you didn't get from college ball or playing overseas or anything like that? What are some things that you may have added to your coaching repertoire within the last few years?
So, if we take a few years back, now, I'm utilizing more of the motion offense. I wasn't utilizing it as much. I stick with the 1-4, 1-4 high, 1-4 low sets. I really like to work different offenses out of that. But I also have transitioned and used the horn set as well. I feel like you can get a lot out of it. It depends also to what type of players you have. When I coached at Lower Marion, I was more so utilizing that motion set because it was easier for them to conceptualize it. But when I'm at Penwood, it's different. A lot of quick hitters definitely works for our style of play and the type of players that we have. So that's something that I've added. With regard to adding a change in philosophy, I wouldn't say I've changed my philosophy, but what I've more so taken more of a notice is on mental health. And now each practice that I have the girls meditate. And it's a short meditation for about 3 to 5 minutes. Sometimes we do 3, sometimes we do 5. It depends on how good we get at it. And what I mean by that is when you first start to do meditation with young ladies that kind of really don't respect it or really understand it at first, it really takes a few sessions in order for them to really focus and believe in it. So you have to get the buy-in first. But as we got into it, it was something that really helped our team, and I feel like we needed that. So mental health is something that I've really been paying attention to. And I want to just add that I focus on relationships with players now, even more now than before. So as you know, I have a really huge coaching staff. I have 7 coaches. So each coach is basically designated with 1 to 2 players that they have to oversee and look over during the season, and then off season, and they're to reach out to that player, see how they're doing and things of that nature. So that's something. Building relationships is so important, and me being one person, I can't reach everyone, but that's where you have to utilize your coaching staff, because your coaching staff will definitely help get you there.
Absolutely, because I know Miguel has definitely reached people that I wasn't able to reach, and he'll come over to me. Such and such said this, that, and the third, and I'm like, how you get him to say all that? But he did, you know what I mean? And having this right staff around you is so important as a coach. That's why when Miguel told me he was moving on, I was a little sad. And
but we're working together at a fine facility.
We are.
Of which you're properly endorsing the
wear. I know they haven't paid us for the advertisement, but we'll see what we can do about that. So, like I said, we're talking to Coach Monique Boykins, head coach of the Penwood Lady Patriots basketball team. I want to ask you this question: what role do high school athletics play in your life?
High school athletics helped with character building. And I feel as though that if I did not play high school athletics, I would not have the type of character that I have today. I would not have met the type of people with the character that I have to help enhance it and learn from them as well. So I just feel as though that with character building, with different perspectives, for instance, something as small as traveling from school to school. Some people might not take that as something as is impactful, but it is. Because when we play in different schools, we learn different people. We learn different settings. We see how others live. We see how others associate themselves. For some reason, at a young age, these are the type of things that I was taking in. I'm very reflective. My mindset is the type of mindset of inclusiveness and togetherness, but I'm always worried about that person's personality. And that's something I love reading personality books. So that's something that I feel like high school athletics has brought was just character building. Playing on a team, you learn so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Miguel?
So, in your experience as a coach and as a player, without naming names,
Mhm.
what was your biggest challenge coaching a player or coaching a challenging player with issues, and also playing with a teammate that I don't like to say bad teammate, but a teammate with issues as well.
So coaching a player that may have issues, I think the hardest thing for me is connecting, because I am the type of person where I feel as though that I can reach anyone. And if I can't reach you, I know someone else that can. And we are now in a time where we are coaching different types of athletes. It's still the same game, but the perspectives have changed drastically. So more things have influence. So to me, I think the challenge is reaching players that don't have the same end goal as you and trying to understand what their end goal is, and also trying to understand what their problems are and where you can be of aid. But a lot of times you can't figure out with some of these kids where you can be an aid to the situation. It's really, and it takes time. You don't meet a kid in a year in one season and you think you can connect with that child. It doesn't work like that. Example, I have had a player that I have been in her life now for over 10 years. That connection, I'm still learning her. She's still learning me. Do I know her? Yeah. But it just, I don't think people really understand how important relationship building is when you're not only just dealing with kids that may be difficult, but also kids that just day-to-day life routines. It's all different levels to these different problems one may have. When I think also with dealing with a challenging player, as far as me on the court and going someone on my team, I would once again say personality. I think the hardest thing is understanding when you're playing college basketball, you all think that you have a common goal. And I think as a college coach, that's one thing that we must, well, since I'm not a college coach now, but I think college coaches should emphasize it. Who was it that I was just watching the Washington Wizards game the other night, and Natasha Cloud was talking about they had a team meeting and they sat down and they talked about what was everyone's goal. What do they want out of this season? And I think that is so important at the college level because you have all these players coming from different areas and everybody's end goal may be different. Yeah, everybody wants to win, but how do you want to win? And what's in it for you? Because that's something else, people coming together, everyone has an idea of how they want their college career to look like, but it may not match what the need of the program or what the program looks like. So I just think that personality was a big thing for me with dealing with, player teammates.
That's man, that's some dope perspective. That's some in-depth perspective right there. And what you said about college coaching, asking what's your goal, and being excuse me, being a little detailed about it. That's big because, like you said, in college, people are coming from everywhere. They're coming from different high schools, different cities, different towns, states, countries, and you're bringing them all together to play this one game under one system. And you got to learn your players as well as your players have to learn you. I think that gets lost in some of the coaching circles, that your players have to learn you as well. One thing that we like to ask people, especially coaches on this show, is, have you ever had a situation where a parent was overbearing? And if you did, whether it be overbearing to the student athlete or whether it be overbearing to you, how did you deal with that situation? And what were the results?
So, in my coaching experience, I've had a parent kind of confront me after a game. One thing that we do is that we have something called the 24-hour rule. And the 24-hour rule is, after a game, you have 24 hours to contact a coach. You have to give them 24 hours to, everybody's emotions and everything is needed after a game. Anything you want to address with the coach, at least wait 24 hours so you can think about it. This parent approached me after a game and was very upset and irate because their child did not play, and they felt like their child,
No, she froze up on us.
their child did. So with that being said, how did I handle
hold on, Mo.
it?
You froze up a little bit on us. Go back. You said they felt like their child should have played, and what else?
They felt like their child should have played and did not get the ample time that their child deserved. They felt like we didn't give them the ample time that they deserved. So, I talked to the parent, approached the parent. Well, they approached me. We talked about it. In that situation, there's not much you can do. I'm very thorough in my process. So I get to know my parents, I get to know my players, but also when it comes down to playing time, a lot of things come into play with playing time. And, also I watch film with parents. If parents want to know, where's my child lacking, I will watch film with them to show them, because a lot of times you don't see what the parent sees, the parent doesn't see what you see. And a lot of times parents have rosy glasses. So with that being said, I need to bring some clarity and really show you exactly, making sure we are on the same page. So this parent didn't want to watch film, so I just, I left it as is. I told the athletic director everything that I did to try to address the parent's concern. I told the young lady things that she could work on. But it was one thing is she was not in check with her emotions. So this was, we just had to, continue to work on with her. But that's how I kind of handled it. I talked to the parents. I let them know. I think my communication skills with parents is really, really good. I also talked to my staff about how to deal with parents or talk to them in difficult situations. Because a lot of times what happens is we run away from difficult conversations. And I'm not the type of head coach where, I'll tell you to go talk to my assistant or you can't approach me. So, this parent just really had an issue with playing time.
And that tends to be a lot of parents' gripes, is playing time. Like it's almost like every parent feels like their child is a great player. Like once they make the team, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, great. They must be good if they've never seen them play. They must be good. So, if they make the team and they're not, anyway, what I'm saying.
my favorite type of parent is the one that's in game, that's like talking to their son or daughter and it's like, hey, why don't you ask the coach who's 5 feet away from you why you're not playing this position? And I'm like, because he's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I do know one thing. I know that conversation with that parent could not have happened this year, because I saw some of your games this year and everybody played.
Yeah,
it was some significant time.
Yes, and I would say it wasn't in this year. No, it wasn't. Coaching at a different school, but I learned from that. I'm gonna say this. Coaching at Lower Merion was an experience for me. And when I'm telling you it was an experience that I couldn't even really put into words. It was not only just a physical experience, it was an emotional experience. And, I would not say that I regret coaching there, but I will say I thank God for the lessons that I learned. I thank God for the people that I met. But I will say that it was an eye opener to me to know that you could be treated in that way, and I think where we're from, we're just like Yeadon is, I've been around people of all different races, all different type of personalities, but it was just an eye opener to me on that. This is how you can be treated. And I think that I learned about entitlement. I learned that even though you could think you do everything right, at the end of the day, there were still people that dislike you. And you have to keep stepping, and that's so hard in this coaching field, because when you're coaching, at the end of the day, people judge you on wins no matter what. Even
true.
Personal relationships, you help kids, you're there, you're motivating, you're inspiring, you're touching, you're encouraging. It does not matter. At the end of the day, the only thing people see is your wins and losses. That's why one thing I want to say, I am so glad that when, during the situation of when, everything, all the issues happened with the loss of Kobe and everything, and everyone was so emotional. I'm so glad they told his story the way that they did, because I don't think people know how many people he actually impacted. And that's one thing I felt like they just showed his legacy. They showed so much of how many people he impacted, people you wouldn't even think. We're not even talking about just basketball people. And the reason why I say that because that's something that I feel like Lower Merion has to realize, and maybe one day they will. But we're more than just coaches, and we've done so much. We do so much in what we do. So it was a learning lesson for me, and it was something that, I'll live it again. I'll learn, I wouldn't regret it because I learned so much. So, but yes, the parent was, from that era where I coached, and I learned.
Being that you learned so many of lessons at Lower Merion, at your time at Lower Merion, would you consider, I don't know what your record was at Lower Merion, but would you consider your time, being that you learned so much, would you consider that a success?
Oh man, first year, yes. Not just I learned so much. We did very well first year. First of all, we had beaten Harrington. We had never beat them over 9+ years. They had never beaten.
Remember you posting that, yeah.
And that was, first of all, for me to come in and be the first African woman coach they hired for the girls basketball team and impact their program in the way that I did, and teach those young ladies that it's about togetherness. It's not about it's not about how much money I have or what I drive or what I own. It's when we're on this court, it's about us. And that's something that I was able to bring in my first year. Second year, we had a winning record as well. Third year is where things went off. And it wasn't the coaching though. It wasn't the coaching. And I have to say, unfortunately, I didn't get a fair shake at Lower Merion. And at the end of the day, I know that they lost a great coach, but Lower Merion needed me before I needed them. And what they needed to do was teach in a way of inclusiveness and togetherness and working as a team, and letting kids know that they can play at the next level. Not until I had gotten there, we had not had players that were going to college and playing basketball. Sarah Fitzpatrick was one player that went to play basketball, at the next level. And I commend her on that. It's sometimes you have to give people and kids the possibility that they can get there. You got to let them know that they can get there. Some of the players were like, no, I can't get there, but you can, so at Lower Merion, I showed that, I showed that they knew that they could make it there academically, but athletically, could they succeed, and one thing was work ethic. It's very, very that's the difference between Penwood and Lower Merion. If you ask the question of what was the difference that you learned. See, if I had posted this question about work ethic. Would you prefer to coach a player that had no work ethic? How would you coach a player with no work ethic, or coach a player with work ethic? What would you rather have? And the thing is that
that's a good question.
Would you rather have a player with work ethic or a player with no? Actually, let me rephrase it. The question was, would you rather have a player with work ethic or a player with IQ? That's how I posed
even the better question.
And the reason why I posed that is that I wanted coaches to really think when you are coaching in different areas, different places, you got to understand what you're going to face. And we don't talk about stuff like this as young coaches. These are things we just hold in and we don't talk about it, but it's true. You have to. That's why when you start coaching somewhere, you have to know your surroundings. You got to get to know the community. It's so important to get to know the community. So with that being said, you're going to learn. You're going to be teaching a different type of kid. So if you have a kid that does not have work ethic, what will happen is that how would you get that child to execute during games?
Right.
Hard. Probably won't happen, right? But then if you have a kid with IQ, the thing is that they can think those sets out that you need them to think out. Those turnovers may be less frequent. So personally, I'd rather the child with work ethic, because you can teach IQ. You cannot teach work ethic.
No, you cannot.
Some adults don't even have work ethic. Look how hard it is to teach an adult work ethic. So with that being said, that was the difference between coaching. You had work ethic where some girls wanted to work for it and some girls didn't. Whereas at Penwood, we say when it's time to go, we working. We're all on that same. So that was the difference. And I had to learn it and I had to adjust to it. And I was able to adjust, and like I said, we had a very successful a couple years at Lower Merion that I was there. And, like I said, I wouldn't take it back. I learned, and I also impacted several lives and gained good people, gained good friendships with some people, so it comes with coaching. It comes with coaching.
I want to ask you one more question about basketball. It's a real quick question, and then we'll move on to the next thing.
Yes.
What does it take? Because you as a coach, you've played against some of the best competition in the state.
Yes.
What does it take to win a state championship on the women's side of things?
You got to have commitment. You have to be able to handle pressure in challenging situations, know what to do. I think that's where some teams, that's where you have the different levels. So in pressurized situations, sometimes you might have players or teams where you'll have certain people that say, I got it. I know what I'm doing. And they're those people, 1-2 passes going to the cup. When you get to the playoff level and beyond, which we had our first state appearance at Penwood, which I'm just thankful to have. I wish we could have went further. But in the heat of frustration, you got to know what to do. You got to know how to calm yourself and the team and stay focused. And I feel like that kills us sometimes when we go into our playoff situations because our conference is so small. And this is another thing that's not really talked about that should be talked about eventually. The Del Val is very small. We only have 5 teams in the Del Val. So with that being said, all of our teams in basketball, you have to play 22 games. So if I play all of my teams twice, that's 10 games. I have to pick up 12 of other games. Well, what comes as a challenge sometimes is getting a competition, getting competitive teams to play us. A lot of people don't want to play Penwood. And we've sent emails out, to try to get games, and sometimes it's very difficult. Now, it's gotten better. But that's something that is a challenge for us because when we do go to playoffs, we have not played these people. We have not seen people. We don't know what they're about.
They don't want y'all seeing them before the playoffs.
I don't know if it's that.
You can't say that. I can. They don't want to
Okay.
see y'all. They don't want y'all seeing them before the playoffs. Because I've
Yeah.
seen y'all. You know,
Yeah.
and I don't know if there's a team out there that. Let me say this. I know a team can hang with you twice, but that second time around is going to be heavy for them. It's going to be a heavy load.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's something like that. Miguel, I'm going to pick my feet up off the floor and let you have it.
Well, I mean, I guess kind of leading into, with your experience at, Lower Merion and at Penwood, kind of going into the diversity that you experienced between the two. And it was interesting how you kind of talked about there was some eye-opening experiences at Lower Merion.
Yeah.
So just kind of, I guess, delving into that diversity, how much you were exposed to diversity at Lower Merion versus Penwood, and I guess the difference.
So I say on my coaching staff, I actually brought in the diversity. First and foremost, I want to say like the boys team is excellent. Like they are, they welcome me with open arms, help me out, any type of questions or anything that I had, they were there. I brought the diversity because, okay, I kept one of the former coaches, assistant coaches. He's a good person. I kept him on staff. He's also a teacher. So I thought it was very important to have a teacher, someone that's in the building on my staff. I brought in my mentor, who's been coaching with me for a while. Then I brought in 2 Penwood graduates, one that I coached, and then one that is just a graduate, but I coached his sister. And what I did, I brought diversity. We had 3 African American. Well, I'm sorry, it was 3, 4, 5 African Americans, 2 female coaches, and 3 males, and one Caucasian male. And I think that brought a lot of diversity to us. And Coach Steve is Jamaican, so it was like it kind of really worked out across the board for us. So that was the diversity that you've seen. And then what I did was, I brought in different players so they could see different levels of skill and talent. So that was something. With regard to like the things that I seen, I would just say I didn't get a fair shake with regard to if a parent comes to you and they have an issue with the coach, you need to sit down and dissect it and understand what's going on. And I personally felt like I never had that opportunity. I never sat down with me, the AD, the AD, my coaching staff, and the parent that had the concern. It was always we heard or this person said, and to me, it's like that's not how things are handled. Even me now being a school board director, that's not how we handle things. And knowing, if there's a problem, we talk about it. We confront it and figure out how can we resolve this? What's the resolution? Also, too, you guys know I care. I literally care. If I could, whatever a kid needs, I'm there for them. And that program, I just wanted those girls to see that they could do it. People might say, oh, you're not fast enough or you don't have enough talent, but you can do it. And I wanted them to see that, and I wanted them to believe. See, that's one thing, too, that I seen a difference at Penwood. It was that belief that I can, But at LM, it was different. It was like, we got it. Maybe we don't. I told them when we went to get to Harrington, I said, y'all going to win. You're going to win because you work so hard to get to this point. And it shocked and surprised them. I still have that picture when we won and our players were like jumping in the air. And that was one of the most happiest moments I had at Lower Merion, because here it was all these young ladies that didn't know that if they could be Harrington. They were so nervous. And we took it out of them. And when they seen that they could succeed, I think that was just an eye opener for the program. So that's kind of, some of the stuff that I feel like, the opportunity to show, because, overall, I know I'm a good coach and I know the players that I coach with, definitely step up and say that. But at LM, it was just like I wasn't given the opportunity to.
Did you feel that the administration didn't have your back?
No, they didn't. You know, first and foremost, Dr. Copeland is African American. Their superintendent is African American, and for me to be the first African American female coach for the basketball program to come in, I thought I would see him, you know, at a game. I thought he would introduce himself to me or something like that, because it was an honor to coach there. You know, that's what I thought. But I was not treated with the best. That, you know, I wasn't treated that way, and you know, it honestly was one of the coaching points in my life that hurt the most, because you know, I'm a problem solver. So, like, well, what did I do? You know, why did no one talk to me? And you know, I wasn't even given the proper release or anything. You know, it was more so of the comment was made to me that you know, if you have a choice, you either resign or you allow these parents to continue to dig at your character, and eventually the administration will have to do something. And that's the only thing that was said to me. And honestly, like, that is one thing in the coaching moment that is like the most saddest for me, because I just couldn't understand it. Mm-hmm. I couldn't understand it. And I felt, this is where I felt like, is it race related? You know, I really felt like that, because I've never felt like that in my life before, because no one would talk to me about, like, how do we resolve this? Let's talk to the parent. Let's figure it out together, you know? And they gave me this book in the beginning, the AD, to read, called Win. And I read this book when you first joined, you know, on the staff. And I guess that was a book they were having their coaches read that year. And the book is all about, you know, having them conversations and how to win. And I just thought, like, man, did you read the book? You know,
how ironic is that?
You know, did you read the book? And but I do want to say, for the record, I don't have any ill will, you know, for LM. I just can say that it's something I learned that I will always carry with me in my coaching career. And it's a sour moment for me because I put so much energy in that program and so much of my time, and tried my best to. And this is also for young coaches. I want you to know, you can't step on eggshells when you coach. You can't. And I have to give that advice and let you know, coach who you are, coach what you are, and believe in yourself, because there's always going to be people that doubt your philosophy. There's always going to be people out there to poke holes through your offense, through your defense, and even just who you are, you know. But at the end of the day, you got to be firm and believe in what you believe in, and know that you've done it before. You won before. So tell yourself you continue to win, and don't worry about the people that want to, like, poke holes in you and try to deflate you, you know. And that's kind of what I went through at Lower Merion, where, you know, it was parents literally trying to deflate me. And I just, you know, I didn't believe, you know, all the things you hear about how parents are irate or upset, or, you know, you hear about fights and stuff. I never went through that. You know, at Penwood, I didn't go through that. You know, the parents, they believed in what I was doing, you know. And I come to LM, and it's like, you know, you feel like you have to, you feel like you have to impact the child, right? But no, you got to do so much more with the parent at that school. You know, the parent has control of everything, and that's okay. But at least be willing to have those conversations, you know. So I can just tell you guys, you know, I wear that badge, and one day I know that, you know, God definitely will hear what I have to say about that experience. And definitely, I even said one day I'm going to write a book about it, because it was such a, it was a crazy experience, Justin. It really was. Like, I wish I could really go into detail and explain everything to you, but just know that through that coaching experience, it made me stronger. It definitely did make me a stronger individual.
Well, maybe one day we could talk about it off air,
Yeah.
And when you write that book, you got to come back on the Check Swing podcast here on New Twist Radio, and we could talk about that book as well. Because now you got to do it because you said you were thinking about it. So now you got to do it now. Every time I see him, you start that book yet?
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. You're right. Like it's something that I definitely should do because. Like I said, it's important. I don't think coaches realize when you step into a school what questions you have to ask. Those are certain things too. You really need to, and I learned from that. Now I know what to ask and what to look for.
Give us an example of a question, just real quick.
So if you're new coming into a program, you should first and foremost explain your philosophy to the administration and to the athletic director, not just the athletic director. You should be in touch with the administration. Also, the question you should ask is, do you have their support? That's the biggest.
Is they can lie.
They can lie.
They can lie.
And I think where me and Justin, coach at, I really believe, I've seen firsthand that they have our backs as coaches and they let us coach.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, they flat out told us, like, listen, if you have a parent that is irate or, just giving you such a hard time, we can ask that family just not to be a part of our program anymore. And when I heard that, I was like, you have that freedom, that weight is lifted.
Yes.
That's one extra thing you don't have to worry about. If I do get a parent, I'll copy my, director of baseball and, a lot of times it's like, well, however you want to handle it, I got your back, and having that is very important. And, we've experienced on both ends where we didn't quite have the support for, certain programs, and it's demoralizing.
It really is. I thank goodness I was good with some parents. A parent even told me, like, Coach Mo, they're trying to anything. A text message came out that said, any issue you have with Coach Mo, like, bring it to the AD. And I'm just like, really? Like, is this really going on?
Wow.
Like, really? And what's so crazy? A coach made this comment to me. He was like, that's why I don't deal with parents. I'm like, sir, that is not the resolution to this, because I want to deal with parents. Bring it. Let's bring that conversation. And I think that's the one thing that makes me a different coach, because I am okay with having uncomfortable conversations. I'm okay with it because that's the game. The game of basketball is an uncomfortable game at times. We have to have those uncomfortable conversations. When you get blown out, that's uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable. Nobody likes it. So that's like an example. I had a parent approach me after a game. I had to actually be escorted out of the game by my AD because his parent was irate. Do you think they ever had a conversation with me and the parent and sat down and did some conflict resolution to be able to have an understanding? No.
Wow.
No. So
they just left you hanging. I mean, they escorted you out, but they left you hanging, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a challenging question. Do you think it would have been different had you been male?
So, man, I don't know. I really don't know. I personally think that it possibly could have been different. I'll tell you this. A parent made a comment to me, and yeah, I'm okay with saying this. When I was told basically to either stay and allow them to pick with my character or resign, a parent made the comment, and it was, they were not ready for a strong Black woman to coach. And I just left that in my mind, but I never brought it up again because I didn't know how to approach it. I didn't know how to dissect it. So, but then what I did was I watched who they hired and who replaced me. And then I said, let's see if those same problems exist. Now, mind you, too, well, I'm not even going to go into there, but mind you, it's different. Now, I say it's different because it is. The young lady that's it's just different. It's different. Put it that way. And I just think that overall, I wish I would have had those opportunities. To be able to pick the team appropriately, talk to parents that had issues, have a team discussion, whatever, was needed. But, overall, like I said, I'm thankful for the experience. And I wish them well. I brought good people to them. They still have they have both of my assistants. I brought good people to them. First, their freshman coach is one of my coaches. And their JV assistant is one of my coaches. So I brought them great people, and I'm still there. So Kenwood is still in the building.
That's crazy. That's crazy. They retained some of your coaches.
Yes.
From that's crazy. That's kind of surprising. That's surprising.
And those coaches are hardcore, from my philosophy. They know fundamentals. They know they have good coaches. So kudos to them on that.
Awesome.
Well, Miguel wanted to bring up some things.
So I, in our pre-show talk, I believe there was some controversies.
I'm not sure if we have enough time for all that. No, I'm just
all of a sudden I cut out. No, there was apparent. So at the beginning of the show, Justin said that Coach Mo, Coach Justin, they've known each other for years. But there was some sort of kicked ball controversy that happened where I think Mo was playing a game and Justin accidentally kicked the ball out of bounds.
I'll let Mo tell the story.
What's your version of the truth, Mo?
So it wasn't Justin who kicked my ball. It was Jason.
Thank you. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted was a public.
Set the scene. Set the scene. Tell the story. It was a Friday night. What was it?
I don't know what day of week it was. No, it probably was like a Saturday. And all it was hot as heck. I had on some snap up pants. I remember this. I had some snaps on. Don't judge me.
I didn't think you were talking about that. I didn't think you were bringing that up.
But I'm just saying that's what I had on. And I wanted to play. And you know what's interesting? I had a basketball and they had the basketball, but I always had the better basketballs. That's what I learned about them too. In order to get on the court with them, you needed to have a good ball because you would say, all right, look, y'all playing with my ball? Well, you got to pick me up. Well, Jason kicks my ball.
All right, hold on. You gotta explain to the people that don't know who these people are. If you're gonna put them on the record.
So Jason is a childhood friend that we have, that Justin and I have in common, that we grew up with.
Jason was the best man at my wedding.
He is
funny,
and he was like he could jump out the building when we were kids. Like his calves are like the size of hoagies. Like they were
hoagies.
Yeah, man. They're a large, like from Dewey Louie's in South Philly, like that type of good. So like he could jump out the building. But anyway, he kicked my ball very far. I had to go get it. Then, I come back and get on the court. So that was really kind of what they would kick my basketball enough times. And then knowing that they were leaving, they would have to pick me up.
You see that? You see it there? She wrapped me right back into that after she took me out. She wrapped me right back into it by saying they always kicked my ball or did something. I didn't do anything, Mo. I promise you I didn't do anything. And I told you pre-show why.
You didn't, but I will tell you, like I said earlier, Justin has a side to him,
Oh,
he has a fun side, but don't think he doesn't play into the jokes because he does.
That is hilarious. There was another story you were talking about, something about radiation in Yeadon.
Yes.
And
So everybody knows.
hazmat suits.
Yes, Yeadon Community Park, which it's called Yeadon Community Park. It was not called. We never called it Yeadon Community Park. We used to call it Radiation because they found radiation there. And we could not go to that park for, I want to say, 1 to 2 years. Sometimes people would walk through it, and our parents always used to tell us, don't walk through it because you're going to start glowing. They tell us that all the time, or we're going to get cancer. So never walk through there. So Yeadon Community Park was not Yeadon Community Park to us. It was Radiation, and that's like also we call it the center. We have another court that we used to call the center. That the short courts, because courts are 10 feet. This one had to be probably like 9, and everybody would still go and play on that. But yeah, Radiation.
Yeah, Radiation was cool, and it's funny. Like if I talk to the kids now and I say, Radiation, I'm like, what you talking about? You talking about Yeadon Park? I'm like, Yeadon Park? What are you talking about?
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, like like Miguel to say Radiation amongst us, like there was no question. Like there was no question whatsoever what you were talking about. He's, I'm going up to Radiation. No, like if you were not, if I went to where you lived, and I was playing ball at Radiation yesterday, you probably think I'm crazy. But if I said that to Mo back then, or anybody that lived in Yeadon, or even Darby or Lansdowne, they would know exactly what I'm talking about.
She would look for the ball that y'all kick down the street and bring it back and play at Radiation. Gotcha. Okay.
But I always wondered, there was Radiation in the park, but they didn't dig up around the pool. I'm just gonna say the pool. I'm not gonna put the name, but
oh yeah,
I would think maybe there's something around there too. Like I don't know, but that's not for me to.
I don't think so. Because remember, they have to dig the pool.
Right. So maybe they already got it out. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because you have to dig the pool.
That's true.
That area was untouched ground. It was just grass.
Yeah. Did you have any other things that you want to bring up where I have to defend myself, Miguel?
I'll bring up the last one because it's the funniest, and she agreed that she was comfortable talking about it. So, Coach Mo, you went by the nickname Mo Cheeks. Now, to Sixers fans out there, we know who Mo Cheeks was.
Which I am a big Sixers fan.
Big Sixers fan, right? But you were given this nickname for different reasons. Would you care to elaborate?
They're childhood friends.
This may take a turn. This is going to take a turn.
So my nickname is Mo Cheeks, okay? So there's a guy that we call Sticks, and we call him Sticks because he's like this thin. So we call him Sticks. So as you see, we got nicknames, right? So Sticks says one day, we're all walking, you know what, Mo? Your butt is big. We're going to just call you Mo Cheeks. Unfortunately, that name has stuck. No one really knows, why. And so if you're from that, and it's interesting too, I know who you are depending on what you call me. Because if someone calls me Mo Cheeks, I know it's either college, high school, elementary, middle school. It got to be. Actually, let me see. It started in middle school. So you have to know me from middle school to college to call me Mo Cheeks. If you just call me Mo, that's probably after college because nobody called me Mo until I probably went overseas. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting.
You know how hard it is for me to not say Mo Cheeks when we're in the building?
Or Cheeks. Yeah.
Like, it's so hard. Like, I'm like, Mo.
I'm okay with that.
But
I don't want to do it around the kids. I don't want to do it around
the kids. They wouldn't know, like, because as Miguel said, like they might think it's Mo Cheeks the basketball player.
Right. Didn't you say
not kids of today? They don't know who Mo Cheeks the basketball player is.
But didn't you say that you incorporated a certain aspect of that nickname into your coaching philosophy too?
What, Mo Cheeks?
Yeah.
Well, on my hoodie, my high school hoodie, it says, I got Mo Cheeks embroidered. That was the only hoodie, though.
Oh, wait a minute. I didn't know about this. You got Mo Cheeks on the hoodie?
My high school hoodie has, the year we won Del Valle, the 2001, 2002 hoodie has Mo Cheeks on it.
Okay. So you embraced the name.
I actually did. As I got older, it wasn't bad. College, it is what it is,
And like I said, I didn't even know what the name really meant until I became an adult.
So Mo, what was Justin's nickname? Did Justin have a nickname?
Oh my God.
Before you answer that, I also tell where you're from by what you call me and the time frame. So it depends on what she says. There's two names that she could say.
I'm not even I can't remember. I can't.
Good. So she used to call me Jut because everybody used to call me Jut.
Okay.
And then people started calling me Bean.
Bean is what I remember.
So then
I remember Bean.
Once I got like middle school, high school, that's when people started calling me Bean.
Well, why did they call you a bean? Did you look like a bean?
You tell me. Did I look like a bean?
I mean, a little bean.
So actually, the story
there.
behind
She went there.
it, she did, and I can't even get her back because I gotta be professional.
Pinto kidney.
Coach,
I had to call him. I had to. He already got me.
We have our first tournament this week, and I'm going to introduce you as Coach Pinto.
If you do that, I'm leaving. I'm headed back home if you do that.
I love it. I want you to do that. And I want you to tape it and send it to me.
Yes, we'll do.
Please
Coach
do
Pinto,
that.
Coach Pinto Kidney.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Y'all better leave me alone.
So why they call you Bean?
All right, Judd? So Jut was just like a short for Justin, right?
Okay.
Real creative.
But the bean thing came about. It can, depending on who you ask, it could probably be a couple different stories. But the real story is there were some people that was like, yo, you need a nickname. And I was a big fan of Wu-Tang. And some of were big fans of Wu-Tang. And they would call them Wu Gambinos. So a couple people started calling me Gambino. But that's, it's a nickname. That's too long. So they just shortened it to Bean, and there you go.
Cool.
It actually had nothing to do with the bean you eat.
Gambino's a better nickname, though.
Miguel.
Yeah,
cool
but it
beans.
just takes long.
What'd you say? What'd you say, Mo?
Cool beans.
Oh, you ain't gonna let this one down, Jess.
Sorry, Mo Cheeks. I got you.
It's all right.
I got you.
It's all right.
Why your ball got kicked across the field.
There it is.
But it wasn't me. But
I also have to thank you guys. Because honestly, I haven't interviewed or talked about anything of my experiences at Lower Merion, since I left. It's been a good, 2 years now since I've left there. And I just, it's a very sensitive topic to me. But I just appreciate you allowing me to talk about it. And me not being able to get emotional while talking about it, because it really was an emotional experience.
I was hoping, like, where's the Oprah moment?
I was not going to have an Oprah moment because I'm stronger than that. I'm stronger than that. I've been, I look at it like this. You can't let things break you, and certain things try to nag at you. I've been through so much in life where, in the moment, guys, I was like steamed, upset, cried a little. But then I said to myself, you have to rise above this. And that's what Penwood is about, rising above adversity. And that's exactly what I did. So I just want to thank you for allowing me to share that story to you, because you guys are the first ones to really hear even pieces of it. So
Wow. Well, I want to thank you for sharing it. Thank you for being an open book about it and not really hesitating with it. Thank you for coming back home to the high. You know, we call it the high. Thank you for coming back home to the high
the
and
shoebox.
reestablishing yourself. The shoebox, absolutely. And now they call it the U. They call it the U
Yes, the you.
now. And thank you for joining us on the Check Swing podcast. We really appreciate you. We got to have you on again.
Yes, definitely.
Really
Any type of
enjoyed it.
topics, I would love to come on and talk about it, because I really love. I wanted to just tell you, whenever you're ready to talk about diversity gap and women's coaching or basketball in general, I definitely want to talk a little more about that too, because I was prepared for that conversation as well. But I do say I encourage women to keep getting into coaching. There's a need for us. It's important. You know, don't feel like you don't belong, because we need to be out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we definitely want to have you back to talk about diversity in coaching and sports and all that. And like I said, we appreciate you for coming on, taking the time to be with us. I know I know you're a very, very, very busy person.
Yes.
I mean, we didn't even get to talk about team success. We didn't
I
get to
know.
talk about that.
I know.
You know,
I do a lot.
You're like a scientist or something. Like
She's trying to save the world.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
a microbiologist.
She's a microbiologist by day, a basketball coach by night, and I don't know if y'all caught what she said earlier, but I'm going to put it out there. School board director.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I don't know if y'all caught that, but she said it. I caught it. I wanted to talk about that too, but time flies when you're having fun.
Future school board president, maybe. She can't. She's speechless. She's speechless.
I aspire to be great. That's what I'm going to say.
On that note,
yes,
I'm just wondering if she'll ever ask me to be a part of her staff.
I do aspire to be the future school board president. So stay on the lookout for that. You will see that in my future.
Oh, she went right in political mode. You saw that?
And she's got to come. She's got to come back to the show to announce it. She's got to.
Oh, yes, yes. I'll be the first African American. I have to say that the first African American school board president.
Really?
In school district history.
Are you sick? Wow.
Never had an African American president. Never.
Interesting. Well, yeah. Mo, there is one part of the show that we haven't got to that we're going to get to because I forgot 2 weeks ago, so we had to repeat it. As you see, Miguel's name is Bo 10.
Yes.
Right? So what Miguel does is he finds the nickname of baseball players and puts it as his name, and then I got to guess, or people watching got to guess. I have 2 guesses, okay, and I know they're both wrong.
Don't like Coach. You need a Coach Mo pep talk. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. You're gonna win.
Yeah, but see, that's motivation to get people to do things. You can't motivate me to know something I don't know. I'll tell you right now.
Very well
you can't motivate me to. So it's either Bo Jackson, which I know it's not.
It's not Bo Jackson. First off, real quick, one of our colleague coaches, he just sent me a message. He's watching right now. He said we're a set now, so swag out the MSI, OG.
Hey, I need the newer stuff.
Right, and what they told us is that it's coming in. It's coming in the fall. Oh, you got the original.
I got that logo. I need the newer stuff.
He got the original.
No, I don't need it. Let the kids get it. But okay, so Bo Jackson, which I know. Only other guess I have is Bobby Bonilla.
No, because he kind of went by Bobby Bo. This one's local.
Like he's a Philly?
He's a Philly, and he's a coach now. But he was on the first championship team. His number was 10.
I know there's somebody watching this like, how can you not get this? On the first, so 1980 championship team, which
correct
was a year before I was born.
Right, and his number's there, number 10. Okay, so you and I agree that the greatest shortstop in Phillies history was
Jimmy Rollins.
who was the second best?
Larry Bowa.
There you go, Larry Bowa, baby.
Larry Bowa.
Who was shorter and the first person that I ever saw that had the first white guy that I ever seen with a fro. Like he looked like he picked that joint. That's how tight his curls were.
Larry Bowa. He still held dear in the hearts of baseball fans here in Philadelphia. Well, with all that being said, Coach Monique Boykins of the Lady Patriots, of Team Success, of microbiology, of school board direction, all that stuff, of Mo Cheeks and Associates. I want to thank you for being with me. Yo, Mo Cheeks and Associates, that's pretty good. But, you can have that. I want to thank you. Thank you again for being with us. And, I hope y'all check us out next week on the Check Swing Podcast. We'll see y'all next time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you
so much, Mo. We appreciate it.
Guys.